Gene Hackman, the iconic Hollywood actor known for his legendary performances in The French Connection, Unforgiven, and Superman, had spent his post-Hollywood years living a quiet, private life with his second wife, Betsy Arakawa, in Santa Fe, New Mexico. After retiring in 2004, Hackman embraced a new chapter as a writer, far removed from the glamour of Hollywood. However, the tranquility of their secluded life was tragically disrupted when their bodies were discovered under mysterious circumstances. The puzzling nature of their deaths has left fans, the entertainment industry, and law enforcement grappling for answers as authorities continue their investigation into what exactly happened to the couple. The mysterious death of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, a Hollywood tragedy. Gene Hackman, the legendary Hollywood actor, and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, led one of the most private lives in the world of show business. Hackman, a two-time Academy Award winner, had long managed to keep his personal life out of the spotlight, maintaining a sense of mystery and distance from the often chaotic world of Hollywood fame. However, recent revelations surrounding their untimely deaths have sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and left their fans and admirers grappling with unanswered questions. Hackman, a man who had spent decades on the silver screen, known for his intense performances in films like The French Connection, Unforgiven, and Superman, seemed to have found solace in a quiet, peaceful life after his retirement in 2004. His retirement from acting had marked the end of an era for Hollywood, as Hackman was widely regarded as one of the finest actors of his generation. He chose to step away from the glamorous world of filmmaking to focus on a completely different pursuit: writing. In his post-Hollywood life, Hackman found comfort in the embrace of his second wife, Betsy Arakawa, a classically trained pianist from Hawaii. Together, they built a peaceful, low-profile life in Santa Fe, New Mexico, away from the flashing cameras and the pressures of the movie industry. Yet, this peaceful existence was shattered when authorities discovered their bodies in a scene so strange and disturbing it has prompted an ongoing investigation that continues to mystify both the public and law enforcement alike. A quiet, private life. Away from Hollywood, Hackman and Arakawa's love story had always been one of quiet affection. Despite the vast age difference between them, their bond was strong and deeply rooted in mutual respect and shared values. Arakawa, a woman of grace and poise, had been Hackman's pillar of support for many years, especially during his transition into retirement. Their relationship had begun in the 1980s, when Arakawa worked at a fitness center in California. Hackman, already a seasoned Hollywood veteran by this time, found solace in her calm and supportive nature. While their relationship quickly blossomed into a deep and enduring connection, Hackman had faced turmoil in his earlier personal life. Before meeting Arakawa, he had been married to Faye Maltese, with whom he had 3 children. Their marriage, however, came to an end in 1986, after more than 2 decades together. Despite the challenges of his earlier marriage, Hackman's bond with Betsy was different. They understood each other on a level that transcended Hollywood's distractions. Their love was built on quiet moments, such as hiking in the New Mexico wilderness, gardening in their serene backyard, or traveling together to places that offered them both a break from the pressures of fame. Even as Hackman found success in his new career as an author, it was Arakawa who remained by his side, offering unwavering support and encouragement. In Santa Fe, they carved out a life that allowed them to escape the spotlight, choosing instead to immerse themselves in local community initiatives and philanthropic endeavors. The couple's preference for privacy made them rare figures in the public eye. They didn't frequent glamorous industry events, nor did they indulge in the attention that other Hollywood couples often sought. Instead, They lived a simple, fulfilling life in a home surrounded by nature and quietude. Hackman, away from the ever-watchful eye of Hollywood, thrived in this peaceful existence, and his fans saw him as an example of someone who had truly found happiness away from the glitz and glamour of the film industry. The shocking discovery. A disturbing scene in Santa Fe. On the morning of February 26, 2025, Santa Fe County authorities were called to the home of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa after a concerned maintenance worker, who had arrived for scheduled work at the property, noticed an open door and the unusual absence of any activity within. When law enforcement arrived at the scene, they were confronted with an eerie and unsettling discovery that has sent ripples through the media and Hollywood circles alike. Inside the home, authorities found the lifeless bodies of Hackman and Arakawa in conditions that suggested they had been dead for a considerable amount of time. Hackman was discovered fully clothed, positioned in the mudroom near the kitchen, while his wife, Betsy Arakawa, was found in the bathroom, lying on her side near a space heater. The condition of their bodies indicated that decomposition had set in, with partial mummification noted, particularly in Arakawa's hands and feet. The smell of decay was overpowering, and investigators remarked on the advanced state of decomposition that had taken place. The dogs. A mysterious and disturbing element. One of the most disturbing elements of the discovery was the condition of the couple's dogs. Authorities found one dog dead in a closet in the bathroom where Arakawa had been discovered. Two other dogs were still alive, roaming within the house. But the question remained, why were some of the dogs dead, while others were still alive? Could they have been neglected for an extended period? Had the couple been incapacitated for so long that the dogs had suffered from lack of care? The dead dog in the bathroom closet raised several questions. Law enforcement officials noted that there were no obvious signs of struggle inside the house. There were no broken windows or signs of forced entry, which ruled out the possibility of a break-in or external threat. But the situation within the house was perplexing. Why had Hackman and Arakawa's bodies been left undiscovered for so long? Why had no one noticed anything unusual until the maintenance worker arrived? Authorities continued to examine the bodies for any signs of foul play, but the results have yet to yield any conclusive answers. It was clear that Hackman and Arakawa had been gone for weeks, if not months, before they were discovered. However, the cause of death remains unclear, as no signs of violence or injury were evident. The peculiarities of the scene, such as the mummified remains, only deepened the mystery surrounding their deaths. The investigation. Unanswered questions. Santa Fe County Sheriff's deputies launched a full investigation into the deaths of Hackman and Arakawa, working to uncover the truth behind this tragic and mysterious event. They conducted forensic tests on the bodies, looking for any clues that could explain the unusual condition of the deceased. Despite initial speculation, the results did not indicate poisoning or any deliberate harm, leading investigators to explore the possibility that environmental factors, such as an unexpected illness or an accident, might have played a role. One of the most perplexing aspects of the case is the apparent lack of any sign of external intervention. There were no reports of strange activity around the property in the days or weeks leading up to the discovery, and no neighbors had noticed anything unusual. It was as if Hackman and Arakawa had simply faded from the world without leaving a trace. The presence of their still living dogs hinted that someone, at least briefly, had taken care of them. But the absence of any human contact or intervention for an extended period only added to the mystery. Hollywood's lost icon. The unanswered legacy. Gene Hackman's sudden, unexpected death has left the Hollywood community in shock. Hackman had been one of the greatest actors of his generation, with a career spanning over 4 decades and featuring some of the most memorable performances in film history. He won 2 Academy Awards, one for The French Connection, 1971, and another for Unforgiven, 1992, and his versatility in roles ranging from tough cops to villainous masterminds had earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's finest talents. While Hackman had retired from acting in 2004 to pursue a quieter life as a writer, his legacy was still very much alive in the hearts of his fans and peers. He was remembered not only for his commanding performances, but for his ability to disappear into characters so completely that the audience often forgot they were watching a performer. In many ways, Hackman had come to represent the ideal of a Hollywood legend who knew how to balance fame with personal privacy. His death, alongside the loss of his wife, Betsy Arakawa, has only amplified the sense of loss felt by those who knew him. The world will now remember Hackman, not just for the iconic roles he portrayed, but for the quiet love he shared with his wife. Their love story, built away from the public's gaze, now stands as a poignant and bittersweet chapter in the history of one of Hollywood's most beloved actors. Theories and speculations. What really happened? As the investigation continues, many theories have emerged to explain the mysterious deaths of Hackman and Arakawa. Could it have been an unfortunate accident? Was there a medical condition that led to their demise? Or was foul play involved? With no clear answers, the public remains captivated by the case, and speculation about what happened behind the closed doors of Hackman and Arakawa's home only continues to grow. For now, the truth remains elusive, and the tragic end to the Hollywood love story has left more questions than answers. As the investigation unfolds, fans and admirers of the couple can only hope that the mystery will soon be solved, bringing closure to the memory of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. The discovery, a scene of tragedy. When authorities arrived at the scene, they were greeted with a set of puzzling clues. The house, seemingly ordinary in its appearance, offered no obvious signs of a struggle or forced entry. There were no signs of a break-in, and valuable items remained undisturbed. Yet, there was something unusual about the scene. The door was found ajar, its precise significance still unexplained. The lack of forced entry ruled out the possibility of a robbery gone wrong, but the open door itself became a silent question, one that would linger throughout the investigation. Inside, the presence of a space heater situated uncomfortably close to Arakawa raised additional concerns. Space heaters can be dangerous when improperly used or placed too near flammable materials, and investigators were quick to explore the possibility of environmental factors contributing to the couple's deaths. However, after an initial investigation, authorities ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning. No gas leaks or ventilation issues were found within the home, a key development that steered the investigation away from this initial theory. The open door seemed to further complicate this possibility. If carbon monoxide had been present in the house, it would have likely built up inside, making the open door a potential source of ventilation rather than a symptom of poisoning. The scattered pills, an unsettling detail, raised questions about whether prescription medication had played a role in the deaths. Pills were found near where Arakawa's body had been discovered, and an open bottle of medication lay on a nearby countertop. The prescription medication's presence seemed like a crucial clue, and investigators were quick to examine the possibility that either a fatal overdose or an accidental poisoning had occurred. Whether the pills were deliberately consumed or carelessly spilled in the aftermath of a moment of despair remained uncertain. Investigative developments. The quest for answers. The investigation was initially marked by a sense of uncertainty. Law enforcement officials were methodical in their approach, collecting forensic evidence and conducting interviews with neighbors, acquaintances, and anyone who may have had recent contact with the couple. No immediate signs of foul play emerged, but the presence of the space heater, the open door, and the scattered pills suggested that something more complex was at work. Investigators focused heavily on the bodies themselves, as both Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa showed no external signs of trauma. This led authorities to consider the possibility that the couple's deaths were not the result of an external force, but rather stemmed from an internal or environmental factor. Toxicology reports and autopsies became key to understanding the exact cause of death. While the bodies were decomposed, making it difficult to pinpoint a precise time of death, investigators were able to determine that the deaths likely occurred sometime before the discovery of their remains. The decomposition of the bodies also suggested that the deaths were not recent, further complicating the timeline and raising additional questions about the circumstances leading up to the tragic event. The role of medication, accidental or intentional? The open bottle of prescription medication found on the countertop became a focal point of the investigation. Prescription drugs are powerful substances, and when taken in excess, they can have deadly consequences. The scattered pills in the vicinity of Arakawa's body suggested the possibility of an accidental overdose, or perhaps a deliberate attempt to end her life after the death of her husband. The fact that the pills were found in a state of disarray added an element of urgency to the investigation. Had this been the result of a hasty decision in the midst of overwhelming grief? Gene Hackman had struggled with health issues in the past, including heart problems. His medical history, particularly his cardiac condition, led some to speculate that he may have died from natural causes, specifically a heart attack or sudden cardiac arrest. If this were the case, it could explain why there were no visible signs of trauma on his body. The idea that Hackman succumbed to a medical issue, such as cardiac arrest, would suggest that Arakawa's death followed soon after, potentially as a result of emotional despair or a desperate decision to join her husband in death. Exploring the possibilities. Intruders? Suicide? Or a tragic accident? As the investigation progressed, various theories began to surface about the circumstances of the couple's deaths. Initially, some speculated that intruders may have been responsible for the deaths, though there was no evidence to support this claim. The absence of forced entry into the home, combined with the lack of trauma to the bodies, made this theory increasingly unlikely. One of the more plausible theories, however, suggested that the deaths were self-inflicted, possibly the result of a joint decision by Gene and Betsy. This theory is grounded in the idea that Gene Hackman, who had a history of heart issues, may have passed away unexpectedly, leaving Betsy devastated by his death. Her emotional devastation might have led her to take drastic measures. The presence of prescription medication and the lack of emergency calls suggest that Arakawa did not seek help following her husband's death, which could indicate that she had made a decision to follow him. This theory points to a deeply emotional and tragic outcome, where the bond between the two was so strong that one could not bear to live without the other. A more specific version of this theory suggests that Hackman's death occurred first, possibly from a heart attack or other natural causes. After realizing that her husband had passed, Arakawa, overwhelmed with grief and a sense of hopelessness, may have chosen to end her own life. The open bottle of medication found near her body could be indicative of an impulsive action taken in the wake of her husband's death, with no forethought or preparation. The speculative nature of the investigation. As the investigation continues, many of the details remain speculative. Authorities have emphasized the need for a careful and methodical approach, urging the public to avoid jumping to conclusions based on incomplete or misleading information. While the investigators work to reconstruct the timeline of events, the possibility of foul play has not been ruled out entirely. The open door, the scattered pills, and the positioning of the bodies all add layers of complexity to the case, making it difficult to determine exactly what happened. However, the absence of external trauma and the lack of forced entry into the home strongly suggest that the deaths were not the result of violence from an outside party. The toxicology reports and autopsies will provide crucial information about the substances present in Hackman and Arakawa's systems at the time of their deaths. These results could offer a clearer picture of whether an overdose, environmental toxins, or other substances played a role. It is also possible that pre-existing medical conditions, particularly Hackman's heart issues, may have contributed to the deaths in ways that are not immediately obvious. A legacy shrouded in mystery. Gene Hackman's life, both personal and professional, has been the subject of much speculation over the years. Known for his intense and sometimes combative demeanor on set, Hackman had a reputation for being difficult to work with, a stark contrast to his immense talent and successful career. His retirement from acting, coupled with rumors about his personal life and strained relationships, left many wondering about the motivations behind his decision to step away from the spotlight. While some speculated that Hackman's departure from Hollywood was due to health issues, others pointed to a more complex mix of personal and professional reasons. His relationship with Betsy Arakawa, however, was a cornerstone of his life. The couple had been together for over 3 decades, living a relatively private life away from the public eye. Their bond was deep, and the shock of their simultaneous deaths left many mourning not only the loss of a beloved actor, but also the loss of a partnership that seemed to transcend the ordinary. The deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa remain shrouded in mystery, with many questions left unanswered. As the investigation continues, authorities are committed to uncovering the truth, seeking to provide closure for the family, friends, and admirers of the couple. In the meantime, speculation and theories abound, each offering a different perspective on what might have happened behind the closed doors of their home. For now, the truth remains just out of reach, and the story of their tragic deaths continues to captivate those who seek answers.